Alright, who's ready to get lit fic? I don't even apologize for that joke. Hi, my name is Margaret. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be recommending my top 5 lit fic / historical fiction recommendations. This is part 4 in the 5-part series where I recommend 5 books based on the different teams for the Amazing Readathon. If you're not participating in the Amazing Readathon but are still looking for historical fiction and lit fic recommendations, feel free to stick around. I have 5 fantastic books that I absolutely love that I am about to talk about. But real quick, let's huddle up, team. So you guys probably know the drill by now. There are going to be 5 recommendations here, and then I'm going to have 5 books that I'm thinking about reading when it's my turn to be on your team. I want you guys to let me know in the comments which of those 5 books you are most interested in seeing me read. Now that that is done, let's get into the 5 books that have stuck with me from these genres. And the first one, if you've been here for a while, you have probably heard me rave about, and that is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. We are following 2 different perspectives in this book. We start off with Amira. She is the nanny for the Chamberlain family, and something happens that has the Chamberlains calling her kind of in the middle of the night being like, hey, we need you to take our 3-year-old and get her out of the house for a little bit while we take care of some stuff. She takes the 3-year-old to the local supermarket because this child loves looking at the nuts in the bulk section of the supermarket. Now while she is at the supermarket with Briar, Amira ends up accused of kidnapping this 3-year-old because she is black and the child is white. Amira ends up having to call Briar's father to come down and sort everything out. Briar's mom, Alex, is obsessed with proving that she is a good ally, and she is mortified that this has happened with her child in the supermarket and is very worried that it reflects badly on her family. He goes forward trying to really prove to Amira that she is not like those other white people. This is a messy, satirical, just deconstruction, I guess you could say, of white feminism. We have Amira, who is dealing with a lot of her own stuff. This is kind of like a early 20s coming of age novel. She's just newly off of her parents' insurance. She's trying to sort a lot of stuff out in her life because she's just graduated from college and she's not what is she supposed to do with herself now? And then we have Alex, who is the definition of gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. This woman uses, it makes me so angry. This woman uses her child as a political statement at the very beginning of the book, and it just makes me, the baby just wants to eat Cheerios, ma'am. I know there are people that have made commentary on that, Alex seems a bit out there and seems a bit of a caricature, and I'm going to be honest, she seemed very realistic to me, based on what I have seen both online and in my own, personal life, in interactions that I have had with other white women who are trying to prove that they are good allies. To me, at least, Amira was very relatable in the fact that, she is, I felt her trying to navigate, okay, what do I do now that I'm out of college? What do I do with my career? I don't, she just really doesn't know, what is supposed, what's her thing? What is she supposed to do? And she's trying to figure that out, and she's had a hard, everyone else in her family knows what they are supposed to do, and she is floundering, and I felt that so hard. Girlie probably should get evaluated for ADHD. That might be something she needs to do. Also, this is a peak example of just why some people shouldn't have kids. If you're not going to love your child with everything in you, why have a child in the first place? Anger. This is a book that makes you think. It makes you sit back. It makes you reevaluate certain things in your life. I have a few books that doesn't really have a romance that I would call a personal favorite. After that, I want to talk to y'all about 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hossein. Bear with me here with this explanation because there's no plot summary on the back for me to refresh my memory, and it's been a while since I read it, but it had such an impact on me. This is one that I'm going to tell you right now, have your Kleenex ready. If I find the original video where I talk about this right after I read it, I will link it down below in the description box. What I do know is that we are following the lives of 2 different women in Afghanistan over the span of several years and several regime changes. And their paths end up being connected because they end up married to the same man, and they are navigating all of the political and social upheaval going on in Afghanistan over several decades and trying to figure out how to take care of themselves and also how to take care of their families. I will say right off the bat, my favorite thing about this book I cannot talk to you about because it is massive spoilers. The way that part of the story is constructed, I don't want to tip you off because the way the story is constructed is part of why it had such a, why I loved that part so much. I would say that this is a multi-generational modern epic because both of these 2 women are born in different time periods of Afghanistan's history, and they grew up in different, very different settings. Despite the fact that they should be at odds with each other, they do end up finding some sort of partnership along the way. It is a novel about two women finding their way to solidarity with each other and how that ends up affecting their lives. Also, just a quick warning about triggers. Marital rape is very heavily discussed in here just because of the situation that both of the women find themselves in. Just be aware of that. I highly recommend this. Maybe this is not the Khaled Hosseini that you read, but I feel like every American really does need to sit down with this man's books and really like dig into the feelings that that is going to bring about with you. After that, I do want to talk about The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This is another multi-generational family saga. I really do have a soft spot in my heart for historical fiction, or really any books that follow families over a period of time. This one is focusing on two sisters. They can pass for white, but they are both black. We follow them as one of them decides to continue living her life as a black woman, and one of them decides that she is going to take advantage of the way she looks, and she is going to pass for a white woman and build her life around that. It's a very deep, thought-provoking book that is going to make you think. It's going to make you grapple with American history, going to make you have to sit back and really grapple with the way that the United States looks at race and identity and the hard and fast rules that we seem to have assigned to it. Britt Bennett really digs into these women and makes you sit down and think about why they made the choices that they made, and whether or not you agree with those choices, you still have to be like, okay, but I understand. I understand why you are taking the path that you are taking. The way that we switch between the two women's perspective and then we bring in the children's perspective, and the way that those points of view just enrich the story and enrich each other's kind of perspective. Coming back to some recommendations that are a little bit more modern, I am going to recommend The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver. The prologue of this book opens with our main character getting the news that her fiance has died in a car crash. Chapter 1 starts, I believe, 6 months later. It is sometime later that chapter 1 starts, and we are watching this character as she has finally kind of started to come out of her grief, and she's trying to piece her life together, and as a part of that, she ends up going to the doctor for some medication to help her sleep. Now, this medication has the side effect of sending her to an alternate universe where her fiance is still alive, and she's able to kind of see what their relationship would look like if he had not died. A lot of y'all are going to be going, Margaret, why is this book on the contemporary recommendations and not on the romance recommendations? And that is because this is not a romance. The romance is like the B plot at best. I love it. I think it is amazing, but it doesn't really like have any impact on this story until we're about at least halfway through. I don't remember exactly when like it picks up and you're like, oh, okay, I know what's going on. This is who it's going to be. Like, it is a while before you figure out like what's going on. That is a part of her healing journey. It's important. It's something that needs to happen. But the main focus of this book is following Lydia as she grieves this relationship, this future that she thought she had, and tries to find a way forward now that none of that is a possibility. It is such a fantastical examination of grief and moving on. The way that she goes back and forth between her current life and this alternate universe that she is kind of using as a coping mechanism, using as this place that she can escape to when it gets, the grief and the pain gets to be too much, and the way that she has to sit back and really examine, wait a minute, what am I doing with what's going on here? It's like she's doing dissociation on like an Olympic level. It's really wild to watch kind of how that affects her personal life and how it starts to maybe affect this other version of her in this other life. This is kind of a dual timeline story because we've got her normal and then we have like time moving forward in this other place, but like it's the same character in both. It is very interesting watching her slowly gain awareness of the effect on her that being able to go to this other timeline in her dreams or whatever's going on, how that is affecting her personal life, and her having to kind of question whether or not it's a good thing that she is able to do this. The final one that I have in the recommendations portion of this video is a middle grade, and it is Other Words from Home by Jasmine Warga. This book, we are following Judah. She is a young girl who lives in Syria, and she and her family, because of the violence that is happening there, end up immigrating to the United States to come and live with family until things settle down. We are following Judah as she starts her first year in an American middle school, is being thrown into things like ESL classes. She's having to navigate all of, like, not just navigate middle school and like all of that, but she's having to navigate that as a child who is displaced. There's also a cute little plot line where she's wanting to be in the school play. Judah is really grappling with the fact that she and her mom are in the United States and they are safe, but they left behind her father and her brother. We are watching her have to grapple with all of these normal kid things while also having to grapple with things that no kid should ever really think about. This is a little bit of a coming of age novel as Judah starts to grow up while she is in the United States and passes several milestones that are very important to young girls. This is an amazing novel about family and belonging. And if you want to know like how much this book grabs you and how good it is like I finished this book in my car. I was like 20 minutes from the end and I didn't even want to take the time to like switch from my earbuds from my stereo, I was just like, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna finish it, and it nearly brought me, like, it had me choked up. Now moving on to the books that I'm thinking I might read for this. This is kind of a, I mean, you can't split 5 books evenly, but it's a pretty interesting split between like contemporary fiction and historical fiction, with a leaning towards the historical fiction. The first one, slightly iffy. It's going to depend, because if I remember like the first book in this series correctly, there is enough that I would classify it as a historical fiction, even though there is a fantastical element to it. However, reading the back of this, I can't like really tell. So this is one that is a maybe, because it's in a historical setting, and if they pull in some of the like the historical things that were happening there, could be historical fiction, but it may not be. So just like keep that in mind as you're recommending. All the rest of them are definitely whatever genre they are. That is 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater. The first one in this series is Half Soul. I absolutely adored it. Went out, like, I loved it so much I was halfway through and I went out and bought this book. I want to continue on in this series. I want to get it off of my physical TBR. I want to see if I'm going to love this as much as I loved the first book, so this is a possibility. Speaking of continuing series, I also want to read To Love and to Loathe. This is a Regency romance. I absolutely adored the first book. I bought the first book on the way back from what would have been BookNet Fest 2021 if they had not had to cancel it. Bought it on the way back, started reading it when I got home, and then rather than unpack or like do anything productive with my life or time, I just sat in bed and read that entire book. This one I'm very excited about, because like you kind of see the beginnings of this romance in the first book, and I'm very interested to see like what their romance is going to look like. All of my historical fictions apparently are sequels, because we also have Sense and Second Degree Murder by Tears of Price. I loved Pride and Premeditation. I love the way that she just mixed up Pride and Prejudice and made it sort of a mystery novel. Well, it actually, no, it was more of like Law and Order, sort of, but in Regency England. I'm very interested to see what she does with this one. I have no idea. I have no idea what it's about, except that it is a retelling of Sense and Sensibility, and there's a murder involved. That's all I know. I also have All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Keeley. I've had fantastic success with Jason Reynolds in the past. The Boy in the Black Suit is one of my favorite books of all time. Like, it's just such an amazing look at death and grief, and I'm very interested to see how he is going to tackle this dual narrative between a black student and a white student. The final one is one that I've been meaning to get to for a while, because I've read one of this author's other books and absolutely adored it, and that book is Beartown by Frederick Bach. I understand that this involves a hockey town, and one of the players is accused of either rape or sexual assault, and it is the fallout as like everything goes back and forth, and people are like arguing to support the girl and arguing to support the hockey player and all of that. I read A Man Called Uwe by Fred Bachman before, and it tackles some very heavy topics really well, and so I'm very interested to see how he is going to handle the particular heavy stuff that's going on in this plot as well. We have reached the portion of the video where I am here to tell you about the giveaway for one of these bookmarks. Because of the way I ordered them, I have 2 of these, and I don't need 2 of these, so I am going to see about getting one of those to you. The way that this is going to work is I want you to share the announcement video for the Amazing Readathon on your social media platform of choice. I will have the YouTube version of the video linked down below, as well as a little TikTok teaser that we have. Go share that, and then come back and let me know, because I would love to know what you are most excited to get to during the Amazing Readathon. And then I also need you to let me know which social media platform you shared the video on and what your username is. This giveaway is going to be open until 11:59 Eastern Standard Time on June 1st, and I will announce the winner on June 2nd during my sprints, which will be starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There you have it, 10 books that you may be interested in checking out if you are on Team LitFic. Don't forget to let me know which of the books on my TBR you are most interested in seeing me read. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out Team Romance's video, which I'll have linked right up top. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we'll talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!